Hey everybody, welcome. We're just going to get started here in a few minutes. Before we do, feel free to type in the chat kind of what you're hoping to learn today. My name is Mazarine Treyz. I use she, her pronouns, and today we're going to be talking about networking to get government contracts. So stay tuned, and in just a few, we are going to start. And if you have any questions, any at all, before we get started, feel free to type them in the chat. I will see them. And we'll start at the top of the hour. In the meantime, where are you joining from?
Recording in progress.
All right, again, we're just going to start in a few minutes here. So if you're just joining us, hello, welcome to the live stream. This is just an experiment that we're doing to see what people's interests are in government contracting and how they'd like to engage with the government and if we can support them in doing that. So there's lots of free resources out there. There's lots of paid resources out there. And a lot of people will tell you have to pay to get government contracts. That's not true. But there's tons of people that are able to help you that have tons of experience and knowledge to share with you that will help you get these contracts. So I'm really excited to talk with you about that. And I'm one of them. I'm one of the people that wants to help you do that. A little bit about me. I have been doing government contracting since 2012. So that's like 13 years now, I guess you could say. And I did a workshop for the city of Austin, Texas as my first contract. And that was like a $1,500 workshop. And at the same time, I was doing workshops for nonprofits and doing fundraising training, and that's kind of my background. I've written 3 books about fundraising, as well as I've written a variety of other things like e-courses and over 1,000 blog posts. You could say that I'm a writer. You could say that. But since starting to do government contracting, I've really kind of pivoted towards government contracting instead of the nonprofit sector because it has been so consistent and lucrative, and the government asks you to raise your rates. So that's pretty great. So in the meantime, we're going to take away this banner here. And I don't think our presentation is going to take the full hour today. I think it's going to take maybe a little bit less than 30 minutes, but I wanted to just make some time for questions and see kind of like how that all goes. So, I have to say, until I had my first government contract, I just did not even think I could get one. I thought it was a very opaque, closed system, and I thought that it was just, it was not going to be for me. But then over time, as I got more and more contracts, I realized what the secret sauce is. And part of it is networking. So believe it or not, networking is something that you have to get good at. It's not the easiest thing to get good at, but you can get good at it. And I don't mean like a robotic, this is my elevator pitch kind of networking. I mean like, showing up and just being you as hard as you can. And even if you felt like shunned or, isolated in the past, because who hasn't felt isolated? We're in year 5 of COVID, you're not alone. And your experience is valid and needed in government contracting. And your ideas can earn you money, your products and services can earn you money, and government contracting. So I just want you to be aware that even though it seems like a closed system, I'm trying to open it up for you a little bit with this series so you can see, no, you can do this. And one of the ways to do this faster and more effectively, to get more contracts more quickly for your business, is to start by getting the right team on board to support you. Now, one of those people on that team could be the Apex accelerators that are over 100 of them all over the country. Another one could be your local SCORE or SBDC. We've talked about this in previous live streams. Another one could be, your local association that deals with government contracting. So we have one here in Oregon called OWAMI, which is Oregon Association of Minority Entrepreneurs. We also have another group called Business Development Institute. It used to be called Business Diversity Institute. And these two are really good to start to meet people and network and really get yourself out there. So you really have to know the right events to go to. So I want to make sure that you do know that, and that you don't waste your time with the events that are not going to work for you. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen, and we're going to get started. So I just want to share that you are so smart for coming here today, because, networking is how I got my first government contracts, and it's how I continue to get government contracts today. So I want you to know that contracting is something you can do with networking. You don't have to know how to write proposals. You don't have to know where to find RFPs. You can go to these events and get contracts. So something we've covered in previous live streams, so I'm going to cover again here really quick, is the direct awards, intermediate procurement, and formal procurement. Now, this is an oversimplification of the kinds of opportunities that are out there to do business with the government, but I want to show you this is how you get work without even having to touch an RFP at all. So number one, direct awards under $25,000. The government can just give you the money. They can just make what's called a purchase on a P card, or like a payment card. And then between $25,000 to $250,000, they just have to get 3 quotes. And then from $250,000 and above, they have to put it out for a formal procurement, an RFP, and things like that. So the reason I'm telling you this is that you could have access to so much money if you just went to the right events. But what are the right events? Stay tuned, and I am going to tell you exactly which ones to go to, whether you are in Oregon or not. So type in the chat, do you have networking events that you go to right now? Okay, cool. Yes, people do go. Yep, excellent. And do these events help bring in business for you? Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes, exactly. Hey, Agnes, so good to see you. Hey, I don't want to ignore people that have come in. Hey, Kay. Looks like Janine has got a note taker here too. Awesome. So glad to see you here. Hey. Yeah, so sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. If you're interested in sharing, which events bring in business for you in the chat, I'm sure we'd all love to know. And obviously it'd be different for your business than for other people's businesses. Feel free to do that if you like. And no pressure as well. Benefit Corporation for Good has events quarterly. Nice. I didn't even know about that event. That sounds like an interesting one. I'd love to talk with you more about that sometime. So for people who don't know, yeah, a lot of Portland Business Journal events, but networking is hard at those events. Yeah. Is it because it's really loud and you can't get a lot of time with people? Is it just a lot of people? Like, I'd love to hear why those are hard too, Yeah. And people aren't curious. Yeah. That's the thing, right? You have to get curious about people and talk with them in a way that's not straight to business. And that's what's really worked for me. Is just being that person that people can say, hey, guess what my cool, funny little hobby is, and I get to talk about my funny little hobbies too. So yeah. So I'm going to share with you today some Portland networking events and some national ones that potentially you might want to go to. So this is for you if you're wondering what to do to meet people to get government contracts. And if you stick around today, you're going to learn where to go find people who can influence if you get government contracts, events that I recommend, and then people who can help you nationally find government contracting networking events. So a little bit about me. I've contracted with the government since 2012. I pivoted from nonprofit work to government work, and it's been a pretty successful pivot. I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've received. And I know that some of it is replicable and some of it's not. Some of it's luck and some of it isn't, So I'm going to try to help you replicate the success that I've had today. And also, like, if you feel hey, Mazarine, this isn't going to apply to me, or I don't think this is going to work for me. Do you have any other advice? I'm happy to talk with you about that as well. I was lucky enough to have, over 1,000 people attend my online conferences, sell a bunch of my online courses, do 3 books and 2 podcasts, and have a mailing list of thousands of people for years. And then I decided that, nonprofit work really isn't feeding me anymore. And I really want to try to see what I can do with government, because I have a lot of training skills. I have a lot of, marketing skills. And I think the government could really use that. Turns out the government didn't just want that. The government wanted me to help people put together proposals. And they also wanted me to do better virtual meeting facilitation workshops, which I've done as well. So yeah, you could use fundraising skills to just do marketing workshops for the government. And I have been teaching small businesses to get government contracts since 2018 with Oregon Metro. And now I'm doing it with Apex Accelerator and Metro still, because I still have that contract. So I'm also always trying to be more aware and unlearning about my own privilege and my bias. And so if anybody here today, wants to call me out on some stuff, please do. I'm really open to discussing that afterwards as well. So I've been working with Gloria Coleman of Exit Bliss, and really working with her has been such a game changer for me and my business in the last couple of years. She and I have been able to get some contracts together in the last year, and that has been really successful for both of us. And sometimes she's the prime and I'm the sub. Sometimes I'm the prime and she's the sub. And she's got a great team at Exit Bliss. And so if you want to learn more about her, I'll talk about her at the end. But suffice to say, she's a project manager extraordinaire. She knows how to write proposals. She knows how to get things done. And yeah, she knows how to make replicable systems so that you don't have to do as much work to get the government contracts. You can just make it easy. And I think that's why, she called her business Exit Bliss, because she wants to make it blissful for people. So when you get to those networking events, how do you start building a network? I mean, I think people here have already built networks. So this is probably going to be some stuff maybe that you already know, but government contracting may be a little different than nonprofit work, because instead of saying, hey, what's your cause? Or, what is the thing that you guys are trying to solve? You could probably still say, like, what are you excited about right now? I just met someone in the city of Austin. I don't even remember how I did it. And that was like 2011, 2012. It's like 13 years ago. And then I started attending the OWAMI networking event in Oregon. And then one person from the statewide SBDC there said, hey, could you do marketing and teaming online workshops for us? And I said, yes. And that was 2013 and 2014. And then I met another person there and she said, hey, could you do these workshops for us too? And I said, yes. And that was 2018. And I still have a contract with them. This is December 2018. So this is one of my first workshops with them. And now we do them all online. And they asked me to raise my rates. And I love that. And that's another reason why I'm such a huge fan of telling people about government contracting. Like, if I can do it, you can do it. Like, I think you can really do it. That wasn't the only thing I did, though. I also volunteered to present at a number of places. This is at Multnomah County at Business Diversity Institute, but it's also now called Business Development Institute. Same thing. I volunteered to present at the South Seattle SBDC. SBDC stands for Small Business Development Center. And I also presented for the IRS and the Social Security Administration at another yearly event. And I did webinars as well for folks too. So I volunteered a bit to get myself out there, but I really do recommend getting paid for what you do as much as you possibly can. And I wouldn't necessarily go to chamber events because government procurement people aren't necessarily going to them. Go where the people who can actually hire you are, or the people who can connect you are. You may not get a contract with a place like Oregon Metro, like I did through the procurement department, but you might. You know, depending on the kind of business you have, there can be different people who are interested in what you do. So I happen to know that Agnes has a executive search firm, and that seems like what a lot of agencies would need. And having also access to a huge pool of candidates from the nonprofit sector could be very beneficial, because it's one thing government likes to do. It's save money and also have access to people with really good leadership skills, you know, and that definitely translate over into the government. So now it's your turn. I'd love to know, how much time do you want to dedicate to networking, like per week or per quarter? And if there's one event that's led to more business in the past, if anyone else has any other ideas about things that they've, you know, gone to that has led to more work for them. And is there an event or a group that you really like going to? So feel free to type in the chat. How much time do you want to dedicate to networking, knowing that it could be the difference between you having like a lot of success versus very slow success? So Agnes said, I have some staff support, so we're looking at 2 to 3 events a month, but so far these aren't really government focused. Okay. Well, today I can share with you some events that are government focused. Yeah, you can attend 2 to 3 events per month that are government focused. Like at the end of the year and the beginning of the year, it's a little bit harder because, you know, the holiday season. But overall, yeah, I can keep your folks busy. So that's great. Anyone else want to share? Yeah. Any other goals they have, please feel free. I'm gonna go take a look at the StreamYard and see if anybody is putting stuff in the chat there. No. Okay, Baro said no. Thanks, Baro. All right, gonna go back to the slides. Okay, so because sometimes people come on here from different parts of the country, I wanted to talk about national events first. So these are not events that I personally have gone to, but these are the ones that I hear are good from other people. So I am registered with WBENC. I know some other folks are here too. Women's Business Enterprise National Council. And they have a national event, which is apparently worth going to. And they also have virtual training as well. And I've been able to take advantage of a couple of their virtual training kind of cohorts in the last year and a half. And I've found those to be valuable. It's not necessarily all about government contracting. It's more about running a business. So that's just something to consider. You know, check out what they have that will help you get your woman-owned business registration, as well as other, particular ones you might have, like minority-owned business or veteran-owned business or small business. So another place you can go that Gloria's been to is the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce, the nlgccconference.com. She said she went to that and it was awesome. And she made a lot of connections. There's one that we haven't been to yet, but we're curious about. It's the National Minority Supplier Development Council Conference, nmsdc.org. That is in Florida in November this year. And then I just had a client who went to the Navy Gold Coast Small Business Exhibition, and he really got a lot out of it. He does sell a product-based business, and he's selling primarily to construction and to the military. And so for him, like, that was worth it. If that isn't your target audience, then don't necessarily go to that. But the other thing that's important to remember about these two events right here, these top events, is that they are events where you can not just meet people who work in government, but also people who work at big corporations. So if your goal is to do business with people who work at big corporations, those people are also there. And there were big businesses at this too, but is obviously more focused on like the Department of War and defense industry, blah, 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 So yeah, I'm probably not going to go to that event. I just don't think I have anything for them. But these other ones could be interesting and good. And sometimes you just make these relationships and you start getting work. And it can be as simple as that. It might take a year, but it happens. Apex accelerators in general are all over the country. And so they do events, one of which is coming up tomorrow, and at Clackamas Community College, which I will be at. So if you did want to send somebody there, if you're in the Portland area, that's not a bad idea. And they also do events called Meet the Buyers, where you can just go walk up to people at tables who are from the government and say, hey, like, I'm here. What do you guys need right now? Like, what are you going to be buying? And like, what's a need that you see that maybe I could help you with? That's one thing you could do. And so apexaccelerators.us is where you go find the one that's nearest to you. If you are in another state than the one your business is currently, incorporated in, then you're going to need to go to the state that your business is incorporated in. That's just a FYI. We have some people coming here who are in Colorado or California that like this is where their business is incorporated, but like in terms of networking events, I can't really help them that much. So they need to like try to go to the one where they are physically. That's just something to know. But Apex accelerators are constantly getting training. I was just in a training this morning, and they're always learning new things about government contracting. And so it's a free service. So you don't have to pay anyone to help you get government contracts. You can if you want to. There are some people I'll recommend, but this is a really good way to start. So which events would I recommend in Oregon and in the Portland area in specific? So here some events are coming right up. So OWAMI is where I got my first couple of contracts, and it's Oregon Association of Minority Entrepreneurs, oame.org. And it's the second Friday of the month and the last Friday of the month. The second Friday of the month is for construction, architecture, and engineering. So that's this Friday. And then the last Friday of the month, that's the one I usually go to, is everyone. And so that is going to be at the University of Portland campus in their library. And it's usually from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., 7:30, something like that. So it's worthwhile to go to that. And if you are in the construction, architecture, engineering, or adjacent kind of industries, then definitely going to their second Friday as well is a really good idea. It's a free event. Also the one from Apex for the SBBC is free in Clackamas Community College tomorrow, which I'll be there at from 9 to 12. And then there's a few other ones coming up. There's one called the Reverse Vendor Trade Show on September 23rd by I believe it is Oregon chapter of procurement professionals, like OPA, I think they're called. So like OPPA, like association. And that one's going to be really good. And that is in Kaiser. And then there's BDI week, and that's where Gloria and I will be speaking about Learn from My Fail, the Pot of Foolishness. And that'll be September 22nd. That's a Monday from like 9 to 3. We'll be speaking at the end of the day. And then the next day of it, Wednesday, is just the gala. And the gala is going to be really fun. I went last year. There was taiko drumming, and it was really cool. Food was great. People were wonderful. Yeah, and it just kind of goes on from here. So if you want this link in the events in Portland area that I recommend, just type a Y into the chat, and I'll make sure to send that out after the presentation today. I also have some events coming up next year and later on this year that I just didn't put on the slide that you'll get access to, and you can just go click in, sign up. You don't actually have to sign up for any of these. You can just show up, except for the BDI week one, that one you do need to sign up for. So, yeah. Once you get there, think about how you want to present yourself. Now, you probably already know how to do this, but what do you say at these events? It's government. It's not maybe what you're used to. Like, what do you give or offer at these events? And I often tell my clients, can you give like a breath mint or a Ricola if they're really getting tired of talking? Like, can you give them like a bottle of water or a paper cup of water that you've gotten filled up and said, hey, it's probably hard to break away from your booth. I just wanted to give this to you. Those little acts of kindness, most people aren't even thinking about that. Sometimes I really go the whole hog and I bring like a full-on chocolate bar, and I think about who am I connecting with, and I just give them a chocolate bar. And if I don't do business with them, that's okay. That was my random act of kindness for the day. But I could be better at following up. And so you want to think about, how do I follow up people that I've met? And do I have a process or follow up and regular emails to you that I send, like put things in a spreadsheet or another place? And do you have a fun networking outfit that you like to wear? So one of the people that I've followed for a while, she mentioned that she has like blue sequin pants that she loves wearing to networking events, like bright blue sequin pants. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. That's definitely a conversation starter. So if you have something that you're like, I like this, and I think, people will be like, ooh, who are you if you wear it? Another client I have is a plumbing company, and they're called like Lone Star Plumbing. And so they're from Texas. And the guy's like, what if I wore a cowboy hat to a networking event? I'm like, people would remember you as the guy in the cowboy hat, because most people here in Oregon don't wear cowboy hats. So I was like, yeah, try it, yeah. So does anybody else have any advice about, how to make the most of networking events? Or do you have any questions about what I've shared so far about the places to go, or the things you do once you get there? So while people are thinking of that, I'm just going to share, for me, the fun networking outfit usually includes really pretty earrings. So I have some earrings that I like to wear from a local maker that are, she's a native maker. And making these earrings is kind of part of her spirituality. And I really love to get to tell people that. And yeah, they always get tons of compliments on them. So it could be something small. It could be something big, like blue sequin pants, but it could be something that just makes people remember you. You don't want to be bland. You might think, oh, government needs to be bland. I can't have a personality. You absolutely can have a personality. You'll be more memorable if you do dare to show your personality at these events. So I would encourage you to do that. If you feel comfortable putting yourself out there as who you really are at these events. So what do you bring to these events, aside from maybe a Ricola, or if you're feeling generous, a chocolate bar or two? I made what's called a capability statement. So I took my nonprofit experience and I translated it into government experience. So I have trained over 22,000 leaders since 2010. I've done over 100 plus trainings, including keynotes and conferences and masterclasses and workshops and webinars and accredited courses. And I've taught over 1 million people in 20 countries, whether they went to my blog or they actually learned from me personally face-to-face like this. And I've also raised millions for nonprofits, but instead of calling them nonprofits, I call them CBOs because that's what the government says. So I call it, it stands for community-based organizations. And so sometimes what the government wants is they want you to come in and do a training to say, hey, to their CBOs that they're funding, here's how you could organize your business better or your nonprofit better. Here's how you could become less dependent on government funding. So that's why I even put this on here at all. Maybe I'll take it off, maybe I won't. I have gotten government work to do that. You can see here I have these things called NAICS codes, NIGP codes, UNSPC codes. NAICS codes are codes that the federal government uses generally to kind of talk about what you do. NIGP codes are more what the local government might use, the National Institute for Government Procurement Professionals, I think it is. And so if you look on Oregon Buys, for example, you'll see NIGP codes that relate to what you do. So if you type in your keyword, make a note of your NIGP codes, because then you'll be able to use them on this document. And finally, there's these things called UNSPC codes, or I think it's UNSPSC codes. So I've fixed this since I made this screenshot. But that's more where you can just type in a keyword and find what you do. I put management consulting, public sector development services, instructor-led classroom training, education and training and communications consulting. So here's where I talk about facilitation, mentoring and coaching, staff training, talent management, and capacity building for grantees. And so if you have a fundraising background, that can be something that's good. And then I talk a little bit about solutions like making teams more effective, difficult conversations, better meetings, like better virtual meetings, and increased staff emotional intelligence. So I've done all of these trainings. And one of the trainings that Gloria and I did recently was with Oregon Metro, and we did one on sort of continuity planning and succession planning. So that's part of making teams more effective, because a lot of times when we take time off work that was not planned, and we just kind of have to take the time, and it could be a family emergency, it could be something you just got sick yourself, whatever it is, it's good to have that kind of continuity planning in place so that people don't feel like the balls are all being dropped when you're gone, So you want to learn more about how to make this, because it's just page 1 of this thing. The back is all of my past performance and my certifications and stuff. Come to our 9/23 session. Again, it will be at this link at this time. So this time in this place, but just 2 Tuesdays from now, and I'll show you how to make this, and I will give you a free template to use. So definitely come to this if you are interested. Hey, Sharon, thanks for joining us. Nice to see you here. Excellent. So now I'm going to go back to this. And if you've already made a capability statement, that's great. I imagine most of us haven't made a capability statement yet. And so that's kind of why I went into this. It's something that the government expects you to have when you start talking about your business to them. So it's good to make, even if you already have a flyer about what you do, even if you already have a brochure or a whole website, recreating this and putting this on your website will be worth your time. And we'll actually have a whole session just on marketing your business to government that I will go into greater detail about what your website should look like when you're marketing to government, as well as key things to say to help build trust with you. Now, do I get business from my website with government? No, I don't. I definitely have gotten business just from networking primarily, and then from proposals, but it's worth having this. So when people start to get to know you, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's that person. Having a picture of myself doing what I do. And this is me in 2019 teaching people how to get government contracts back then, and just saying, here's all the websites you should go to, and things like that. So it's good to have your contact information at the top right, and then also on the second page as well. And the reason I made this like sort of a little bit boring is because black writing on a white background is the easiest thing for our eyes to read. So I'm always thinking about accessibility and how I can make things more accessible. And then when you've met people from networking, how do you follow up? So I'd like you to type Y in the chat if you'd like an email with a follow-up email template that I use for networking, and then I will send that to you. I'm very happy to do that. Okay. I am seeing a Y in the chat. Anyone else? Yes. Awesome. I'll send it to you. Yeah. Excellent. I'll send it all to you. You guys got it. You people got it. No, I don't want to call people guys. The key is following up as soon as you've met them. And so oftentimes I'll take my computer to networking events and I will just follow up right there in another area where it's quiet and I can just be on my computer for a few minutes, get those business cards out, say it was so nice to meet you. There's also a tool that I will also put in the follow-up email where you could automate these emails and just plug people in, but I kind of like to be a little bit more personalized. And so maybe that'll work for you, maybe that won't. I don't think it's a free tool, and I do like to give people free tools. So that's just something to remember. You can add your capability statement and the link to it in those emails as well. So that's why it's good to have your capability statement first done before you go to these events, if you can. Now, if you don't have it done yet, don't worry about it. It's good to just start to make the connections. And then when you see them again, say, hey, look, check out my new capability statement. Do you have any suggestions for how I could improve this? Because these people have probably seen a lot of capability statements. So that's just something to consider. And so if you like today, let's keep going. Look at you knowing people. These are going to be the next live streams that we're going to go step by step with this process. So the first few have been, why would you want to do government contracting? How do you get your COVID certification? And then what to do after you have your COVID certification. And then today has been more about how to do networking. And then we have free small business resources to get government work. Next time, we're going to go into greater detail about that. And then marketing your business to government as well. And that's going to be where we're going to talk a lot more about capability statements. And I'll give you that free template. And then finally, we're going to finish up with an AMA, Ask Me Anything About Government Contracting on 9:30. And then, if you want to keep learning, there are tons more resources. We are going to be speaking at the Business Development Institute on 9/22 at 2:30 p.m. At Learn From My Fail, the Pot of Foolishness. We're going to do the same presentation at both of these. We're also going to do ThriveCon in Vancouver at the same time, actually. And maybe in the next presentations after the end of this month, maybe Gloria or Olu will take over. This is Gloria, this is Olu, and they are both from Exit Bliss, and they are awesome. And they have so many resources to share. So I'm going to move ahead and say this is more about them. So they have tons and tons of background in financial software training, HR management, project management and project planning, IT vendor management and integration, and, standard operating procedures, making them for people. And so that's why they have these contracts already with Tabor 100. So if you're in Washington, you definitely want to check out Tabor 100, or if you have a Washington business registration, they can give you so much support. We'll talk more about that next time. They have a contract with Multnomah County that I'm a subcontractor with them on. And then they also work with Accelerate Women, which is another organization here in Portland that helps especially food businesses really gain traction and get more work. So and this is the contact info. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. And now we're going to take questions. So I'm going to stop my share. And does anybody have any questions? I will be here. You can feel free to unmute. You can also just feel free to type in the chat. I'm really happy to talk with you. Would you like to see my spreadsheet full of events? If so, I can definitely share that with you. Just have to go get it. Yes. All right. Excellent. I will get that in the chat and I'll show it to you too. So this is not just the events, it's also portals that you can register in to get to know who are the people you need to talk with, who are the people who could potentially be your teaming partners. And that's a whole other presentation, just like how do you do teaming? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share this screen, and I'm going to put this in the chat too. Also make sure I share this over on StreamYard, because if I don't, then people on StreamYard are going to be like, what's going on? So let's see here. I'm going to, well, yeah, stop that, present, stop that screen. Okay, then present again. Sorry, it's just going to take me a second here. I don't usually switch between screens with StreamYard, so all right, there we go. So this is the marketing networking pad. Agnes has seen this already, but for other folks who haven't seen it, I want to put this in the chat for you. And so going through this, you'll see the stuff I talked about today, and then you'll see there's a lot more down here. So there's Awami on the 31st. I won't be here. I'm going to be in Florida that day. So hope someone else will enjoy it for me. And then there's also coming up the Governor's Marketplace in Seaside and the West Side Small Business and Workforce Open House event. That one is going to be awesome. They're both are. They're actually really good, do not miss events for the end of the year. And then next year, the Owami Trade Show is a do not miss event, as well as the Oregon Metro and Multnomah County Open House at the Oregon Convention Center. And so I have a link right here to get on their email list to get notified for when that is. I think it's going to be around the 12th of February, but it's good to just get on the list so you know that you just come on the right day. This other tab here, just in case you were curious, is where to register in portals to start looking at what is out there and how does the government talk about what they buy and how you might be able to get in. So for example, instead of saying nonprofits, we say CBOs or community-based organizations. That's just one example of how the government talks differently about what they buy versus what maybe we were used to. Instead of saying, oh, I do marketing, they might say, we want to get someone who can do communications. That's fairly straightforward, right? But maybe you do excavation as an example, and they do like, okay, say excavating is something that will be part of a larger package. So you're going to need to learn how to team up to get those bigger contracts. And if that's true, these places are going to help you find people to team up with to get those bigger contracts. And you don't have to log in to find stuff, but you can definitely, use this to start registering and find stuff. Like this is now yours, and you just have to make a copy, and then you can start to plug this in with your own logins and just kind of check these once a week. Or you can sign up for email reminders. And there is one thing that Apex does, which is they sign you up for a thing called Bid Match. It's $60 a year, and the first 60 days are free. And with that, they'll help just put opportunities for what you do based on your keywords in your inbox. So it's really good. This is a great place to do market research. And then if you're interested in like Seattle stuff or Washington State stuff in general, these are two other platforms that are good too. There's honestly nothing stopping you from doing government work in any state you want to, depending on the kind of work you do. If you do construction, that might be more difficult, so. Oh, okay. You can't find the Seaside event on the Seaside Convention calendar? Oh, you just can't read the calendar. It's called Governor's Marketplace. That's right. Yeah. It's the Governor's Marketplace. It'll probably be from like 9 to 3 that day. So if you can just get to Seaside, you should be able to get in there. Yeah. Thanks for asking. Also, if you do more construction related business, there's some construction portals that you can get on their pre-qualified list of subcontractors. So if you're an architect or an engineer or something like that, these are the places that you can register with some really big construction companies. Some of these are international, like Skanska. They have projects all over the country. Some of them are more local, like Hoffman or J.E. Dunn. I think J.E. Dunn is more national too now, but Fortis is more local. Stacy Woodbeck and Hoffman, I think, are more local. So, but if you have a business like that, like absolutely register there. Yeah, so that's kind of this. These are the networking events that I'd recommend, and this is the date, time, and place. And I also have a little thing here where you can like see if you attended, who did you give your capability statement to, and did we follow up? You can put it all right here if you want to. If you want to pass this off to somebody else on your team, good for you to have those people. I hope you can. Any other questions or things before we close today? Because I had a great time with you. Just let me know. Oh yeah, where in Florida? Sharon, great question. So in Florida, yes, ready to go networking event. Excellent. Thanks, Agnes. So Sharon, what I do first is just go to your local Apex Accelerator. This is the part that you missed. So it's apexaccelerators.us, I believe. And just type in your zip code on that front page. You should be able to find the one that works for you. And then once you do that, then they're going to tell you which networking events are the best for you to go to. But we also did look at national events. There is the National Minority Supplier Diversity Conference in Miami in November this year, like November 1st and 2nd or something like that, or 3rd. So if you want to go to that, definitely check that out too. And they move around. And so, there'll be stuff in Florida that's national and local for you to try to take a look at. You're so welcome. I'm so glad you liked it. Thank you everybody for coming, and I will see you next time.